The lawyer's knock echoed through the quiet house. I wasn't expecting anyone, especially not today. My heart stopped for a moment, a chill running down my spine. What was this? I opened the door and there he stood, tall, wearing a dark suit, his face unreadable. He handed me a small envelope, a key and a letter. I stared at him, confused. "Ma'am, you need to read this," he said, his voice cold but calm. "You won the bet." I froze. A bet? What was he talking about? "Go alone, don't trust anyone, not even your children," the letter began. My hands shook as I read the words, each one hitting harder than the last. It was a bet my late husband and I had made almost 50 years ago. If I could stand by him for 48 years, he would give me something impossible. Impossible, what could that mean? My heart pounded. My husband had died just a few months ago. This was absurd. Why had he left me with such a cryptic message? "You have to go to Scotland. There's something waiting for you there," the lawyer said, his voice softer now. "You'll understand when you arrive." But I didn't want to understand. My mind raced. This was madness. But deep inside I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to go. I had to know what this was all about, even if it meant going alone, just as the letter warned. I couldn't trust anyone, not even my children. What kind of secret was buried in Scotland, and why was I being asked to uncover it? Should I trust him? Should I go? The question rang in my ears. My mind was spinning. But then my curiosity got the best of me. The lawyer left without another word, leaving me alone with the key, the address, and a letter that held too many questions. I had no idea what awaited me, but one thing was for sure. This was going to change everything. I stood at the door, holding the key in my hand. I had to go. I didn't understand why, but I knew in my heart that I had to find out what my husband had meant by this impossible promise. How could I not? He was gone, but his words, his unfinished bet, had somehow come alive in this moment. I packed quickly. My mind still buzzed with confusion. What was it that had taken my husband so long to reveal? Why had he made such a strange bet, and why now? Everything about it felt like a riddle I couldn't solve, but the desire to know was stronger than any fear I had. I arrived at the airport early the next morning, the key still clutched in my hand. I couldn't help but feel like I was being pulled into something I didn't fully understand, but I wasn't turning back now. I had to go to Scotland. As the plane took off, I stared out the window. The city below grew smaller and smaller, but my thoughts grew louder. What had I missed all those years? What had my husband hidden from me? I arrived in Scotland late that afternoon, and the cold hit me immediately. It wasn't the weather that took my breath away, though. It was the address on the letter. The street was quiet, almost abandoned. There were no signs of life, no bustling stores, just a row of houses that seemed older than time itself. I stood before the house that matched the address. The key in my hand seemed heavier now, like it held the weight of 1,000 secrets. I turned the key in the lock and pushed open the door. The creak of the hinges echoed through the empty house. Inside it was dimly lit, old furniture covered in dust, and the air smelled of forgotten memories. The house felt like it had been waiting for me for this moment. I stepped inside, my heart racing, and that's when I saw it, a small box on the table, its lid open, as if waiting for me to find it. I walked toward it slowly, my hands trembling as I reached for the box. But before I could open it, the door behind me slammed shut. My heart stopped, panic rising in my chest. Someone else was here, someone who didn't want me to find out what was hidden in this house. I turned, ready to face whatever or whoever was behind me, but there was nothing, no one, just the eerie silence of the house that now felt like a trap. What was happening? Was this all some twisted game, or was I in real danger? I opened the box, my breath catching in my throat. Inside was a small, old photograph of my husband and me, taken on our wedding day, but there was something different about it. At the edge of the photo, in faded handwriting, was a message: "The truth is locked inside." Locked inside, what did that mean? My mind raced, but I couldn't make sense of it. Was this my husband's final joke, or was it something darker? The house felt colder now, and the silence was deafening. I could feel the weight of something ominous in the air. Just then the door creaked open again, and I turned quickly, hoping to find someone, anyone, who could explain what was happening. But no one was there, only the dim light of the setting sun streaming through the dusty windows. I heard a voice then, faint and distant: "You're too late." I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The voice sounded so familiar, yet I couldn't place it. Was it my husband? No, that was impossible. I looked at the photo in my hand again. Was it really my husband who had left me here, or was there something more? I needed answers, but the truth seemed just out of reach. I picked up the letter again, reading the same words over and over. Go alone, don't trust anyone, not even your children. I felt a pang of guilt. Was I being foolish? Had I made the wrong choice? Should I have listened to my children and not come here? But I couldn't leave now. The truth was close, so close. The silence was broken by the sound of footsteps approaching. I turned quickly, my pulse racing. Who was it? What did they want? And then as I looked out the window, I saw them, figures in the distance moving toward the house, shadows. I rushed to the window, trying to make out who they were, but it was too dark to see clearly. My breath caught in my throat as I realized the figures were coming closer, and I had no idea who they were or what they wanted. The key in my pocket seemed to weigh even more now, as though it carried the power to unlock a dangerous truth. I had to know. I had to face whatever awaited me, even if it meant putting myself in danger. The door creaked open again, this time much louder, and I turned toward it. My heart was hammering in my chest, the tension unbearable. I was no longer alone. The figures had reached the door. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence. You should have never come here. It was a woman's voice, cold, threatening. I could feel the danger in her words, but who was she, and why was she warning me? The woman stepped into the room, her face shadowed in the dim light. You don't know what you've uncovered, she said, and now you're in more danger than you can imagine. I took a step back, the truth slowly starting to sink in. What had I gotten myself into? What was my husband trying to protect me from? But before I could ask another question, the woman stepped forward, her eyes cold and full of fear. You need to leave, she said, before it's too late. Everything became clear. The woman was my husband's sister, a woman I hadn't seen in years. She had been keeping a secret, a terrible secret that had been buried for decades. My husband had made the bet not just for fun, but to protect me from the truth. The house in Scotland was not just a home. It was a place where secrets had been kept. A place where my husband had hidden the truth about his past, a past that I was never supposed to know about. His sister had tried to warn me, but it was too late. The truth was simple. My husband had been involved in something dangerous, something so dangerous that it had put our family at risk, and now it was too late to go back. The damage had already been done. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I had faced the truth, no matter how painful it was, and now I could finally move on. The past was over and I could start anew. As I stood there in the house that had been full of secrets, I realized something important. Sometimes the hardest part of life is accepting the truth, and once you do, you can finally let go. The lesson: trust your instincts. Speak up when something feels wrong, and never let fear keep you from finding the truth. This is a story of secrets, betrayal, and the courage to face what is hidden. It's a reminder that sometimes the hardest truths are the ones that set us free.